Okay, I'm here with Briala, BrialaYoga.com, and I have a specific question for you, Briala. You know, I've given all kinds of kudos to you for your ability to help me move and improve my ability to be a functional athlete. So I'm going to keep this one brief because we've got lots more we can do, but I have a lot of runners out there in my audience, and of course with the Canadian Death Race, I also have the raceagainstdeath.org, the charity, which you're quite familiar with my charity endeavors. And so I want to ask you a real specific question, and that is about hamstring stretches. You know, we see a lot of runners out there, and I know you know a lot about what's wrong with runners. I know you were a runner, a big-time runner yourself, and have a lot of information that you can share with us. But primarily today, just for keeping this within the whole YouTube format, can you tell me a little bit more about the hamstrings? First of all, why runners tend to get tight hamstrings, and why so many runners stretch their hamstrings but they don't really get any more flexible when they do so. I know it's probably a 1-hour dissertation, but sum it up for us if you could.
Sure. A lot of the reason that runners get the tightness that they do is because in running you are chronically flexing at the knee and the hip joint, and the combination of the two definitely loads that hamstring muscle quite a bit, particularly the distal end of the hamstring down by the knee. The end result of that is that you never get full movement in the hamstring, and that hamstring load starts to lock that muscle down. The problem with that is in the locking of the muscle down, the fascia gets involved. The fascia is wrapped around the muscle, inside the muscle fibers, all around the different muscles and the bone. And ultimately, as those fibers get tighter and tighter, they start to enmesh with one another, creating adhesions, and those adhesions in turn can actually stop that muscle from moving. The end result is a runner tries to do a hamstring stretch. They think they're applying the effort to get a stretch into the muscle, but the fascia is so locked down it won't actually let the muscle move. Therefore, it loses any ability to shift and gain the stretch. So one of the most important things that runners can do is get work done to help release the fascia so that in turn stretching can start to become valuable. The kind of work that I do is called body logic work. There's other work, structural work out there that specifically addresses getting the fascial release in your body so you can access the muscle. In turn, stretching become much more effective. But also then finally, the last point to remember is when you're stretching, you are trying to actually create release in muscle. So the more you apply an effort that is too hard, too fast, and too much for that muscle, the muscle will protect itself and resist the stretch itself. So instead of thinking force stretch on my muscle, the mindset should be create release of the muscle to soften and therefore lengthen, and allowing it to come to you slowly over time, not trying to gain a greater range of motion too quickly, too fast.
Super. So in real quick summary, when you run, you load and shorten the hamstring muscle. That loading and shortening causes it to tighten. That tightness is transferred to the fascia, and that restricts your motion in that hamstring muscle. And then trying to stretch that without releasing the fascia or any of the adhesions in there is only going to stretch that part of the muscle that you can get motion in, and that's probably not anywhere near the whole muscle, especially after you've done long distance ultra running and marathons and stuff like that. So you've heard it from the, well, we won't call you a horse, but the horse's mouth, how about that? You've heard it from Briala here at BrialaYoga.com. Why runners have so much trouble with their hamstrings, why it's so difficult for them to stretch the hamstrings, and what they need to do about it. Briala, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to a lot more.